If Steve had had just one more point to make, I would have had no speech left to give. Just want you. I was going to use that $3.6 trillion number as the last thing, but let me just say that it's a real honor always following Steve. He's one of my best friends ever. And Tamara was really a special one. It's the first time I've ever had to be preceded on a podium by a drug dealer who mentioned my name. So, thank you. Let me, if I can, I'm going to have a little fun with you today, if that's okay. I'm going to be short, but then again, I've been short all my life, so it's not that funny. The rich states, poor states, as you know, we owe a great deal of indebtedness to ALEC for sponsoring that. It's wonderful. Jonathan Williams, if you're around here, was a co-author of there you are, Jonathan, co-author of ours in the book too, so thank you very much. It was really wonderful, and we great. I have reason to believe that we're going to do it again this next year. And instead of naming the book Rich States, Poor States, we're going to change the title to Poor States, Poorer States. No, it's not that funny either, is it? But the one thing I wanted to do is, I love this sort of stuff of states and economics and all the experiments going on in the U.S. I also love all the other differences of states. They're just fun, fascinating. The diversity of states, the diversity of people. And I was a kid. I was born in Youngstown, Ohio, and raised in Cleveland. And so I just love the diversity of America and all of that stuff. And I used to teach tennis up in New England as a kid, up in New Hampshire. If any of you know Wentworth, New Hampshire. And the first time I really got into diversity was I can remember there was this old farmer on this little road in New Hampshire, just this little two-lane thing that was windy and that. And all of a sudden, this great big Cadillac came up with the big horns on the front of the Cadillac, sort of it was a Texan coming through New Hampshire. And the Texan saw the farmer standing by the road there, and the Texan pulled up, top down in his car, pulled up and said, "Are you the farmer here?" And the New Englander, the New Hampshire guy said, "Yes, I farm here off the road." And the Texan said, "Well, would you mind telling me how big your spread is here in New Hampshire?" "Well, we call it a farm here, but if you'd like to know the size of my spread, as you call it, you see the big oak tree over there? That's one corner. If you go along the creek bed up to that elm up there, that's another corner. And my little house up there is the other corner. And down here by the rock on the side of the road, that's the other corner of my farm, or as you would like to call it, a spread." And the Texan leaned back, smiled, and he says, "I don't know if you're going to believe this story, but in Texas, I can wake up before the sun's done riz. I can get in my car and I can start driving. And by the sun sets in the evening, I have not come to the end of my spread. Can you believe that?" And with that, the New England farmer said, "Yes, I can. I once had a car like that myself." It is great fun being here with you today, and in fact, it's loads of fun. And what I want to talk to you about a little bit is I want to start off by making sure you understand that all of this is not partisanship. The issues going on aren't Republican, they're not Democrat, they're not liberal, they're not conservative, they're not left-wing, they're not right-wing, they're not personality issues. If you look at President Obama as a person today, it is very hard for me to think of any American leader who is more impressive as a person than Barack Obama. And that's really true. I mean, here is a man whose father was a black African, his mother was a white American. If that's not the essence of the melting pot, I don't know what is. He was raised by his mom and his grandmother in a very positive, very nurturing, very, very supportive environment. This young man, Barack Obama, became an excellent person, a very academic, very scholarly, very driven in a wonderful way. When he went to college, he went to Occidental College, where his performance was second to none. One of my students' brothers was his roommate describes a man who is just absolutely wonderful, excels, very political, but very driven, very excellent. I mean, a phenomenal person. He then transfers to Columbia, where he has a phenomenal record there as well. He gets into Harvard Law. He's head of Harvard Law Review. Let me assure you today that you don't get to be head of Harvard Law Review by affirmative action. You've got to really earn it. He then goes and teaches at the University of Chicago, where I taught most of my life. And I can assure you that only the very best and the very brightest ever have taught at Chicago. Just joking. Thank you. And the neat thing is they allowed him to teach constitutional law, which is the plum course to teach. If you look at his political career, there's no one that gets higher than the President of the United States. I mean, if you look at his family is amazing. Michelle, she's not only gorgeous, she's a professional in her own right. I mean, as a person, the kids are gorgeous. I mean, this is a atypical family in the south side of Chicago, where I lived most of my life. I mean, this man is absolutely amazing. If you went to Central Casting and asked for an American hero, Barack Obama would be in the top 5. This is not an issue of Barack Obama or of personalities or of partisanship. But let me just say what Steve Moore said is correct. Every single thing this administration has done is wrong. And everything is wrong, but it's not wrong because they're bad people. They aren't bad people. They've got a bad model. And you know, when you look at the model that we have, the way we view the world, we do have the economic high ground. When I got my PhD, I was different than all those other PhD candidates at the time. I did my undergraduate at Yale, and then I did my PhD at Stanford. All the other people like Krugman and like Blinder and like Reich and these others, they all got their PhDs by taking 25 courses in esoteric, complicated, arcane areas of economics. I took Econ 1 25 times, so I get it right just once. And I'm going to go through it with you here. Let me describe to you the issue of energy independence. This is one of the key things of this administration. They want to make the U.S. energy independent. There is no idea stupider that I've ever heard in my life. It shows a complete lack of understanding of Econ 1 and of David Ricardo. When I look at the world, I see the Middle East full of oil with people who don't know what to do with it. And I look at the U.S. and I see people who know what to do with it and could always use more. It's a win-win situation. They should sell us their oil, it makes them better off, and we should buy their oil, it makes us better off. This is the essence of the gains from trade. Energy independence is a silly, silly notion. It's just like imagining Minnesota being banana independent. It's crazy. They should sell iron ore to Costa Rica and buy bananas from, you know, David Ricardo went through this and the gains from trade time and time again, where England sells cloth to Portugal and Portugal sells wine to England, because England has a comparative advantage in cloth and Portugal had a comparative advantage in wine. Both countries are better off. There are some things we do better than foreigners, and there are some things foreigners do better than we do. We and they would be foolish in the extreme if we didn't sell them those things that we do better than they do, and they sell us those things better than we do. It's just Econ 1. It's a rope-a-dope mistake. Now, it is not unique to Barack Obama and this administration. Since Eisenhower, administrations have been advocating energy independence. They have. As the years have gone on, we've gotten less and less independent. We import more and more oil. Today, the U.S. is the third largest producer of oil in the world, falling slightly behind Saudi Arabia and the Soviet Union and Russia. The fourth is way below us, but we're by far the largest consumer of energy, of oil in the world. We import probably 50 to 60% of our oil that we use. Question: if we were energy oil independent today and we had to make do with 50% of the oil we currently use, can any of you imagine what the U.S. economy would look like? What a gallon of gas would cost? I mean, it would do enormous damage to the U.S. Now, they argue that, in fact, we're relying on bad people. And it's true. The oil-producing nations are not led by the most wonderfully enlightened people in the world. In fact, I want to stipulate today that I no longer am going to beach parties with Hugo Chavez. I'm not doing it.